You want to know the real secret to getting people to open up. It's not about manipulation. It's about connection. People talk when they feel safe. They talk when they feel seen. And they talk when you make them forget they're being watched. See, most people go into conversations trying to impress. They want to sound smart, interesting, powerful. But the real power, the kind that gets people to open their minds and reveal what's inside, is the power to make someone comfortable enough to trust you. Here's the first trick: match their energy, not their words. If someone's calm, be calm. If they're animated, mirror that enthusiasm. We are wired to feel safe around those who feel familiar. It's biology. So when your energy reflects theirs, you're telling their brain, you and I, we're the same tribe. And once that happens, their guard drops. Second trick, silence. Most people can't handle silence. They rush to fill it. But if you can sit in it, comfortable, steady, present, they'll start to talk just to break that quiet. And what they reveal in those moments, that's where the truth lives. Third tricky, curiosity, real curiosity. Don't listen to reply. Listen to understand. Ask questions that go one layer deeper. If they say, I've been feeling stressed lately, you don't say, yeah, me too. You ask, what's been weighing on you? That's how you open the door to their inner world. And here's the biggest one. Make it about them, not you. The fastest way to shut someone down is to talk over them, one-up them, or make them feel unheard. But when you lean in, make eye contact, nod, and show you're invested, not pretending, but genuinely there, they'll give you more than words. They'll give you their truth. People crave understanding more than approval. If you can give them that, if you can make them feel that in your presence, they'll keep talking. They'll trust you. And once you've earned that trust, you don't just get their words. You get their respect, their insight, and sometimes their heart. So remember, this psychology isn't about controlling others. It's about understanding them. And when you understand people, you don't have to get them talking. They'll want to talk to you. People open up when they feel safe, seen, and understood. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful psychological truths in human interaction. Every conversation, every connection, every bond we form is rooted in how secure we feel around the other person. When you create an environment where someone feels emotionally safe, they don't just talk, they reveal. They drop their guard, they share their truth, and they start to trust you in ways they wouldn't otherwise. This isn't about tricking people into opening up. It's about giving them permission to be human in a world that constantly tells them to hide behind masks. Safety is the foundation of all communication. Without it, people retreat. They withhold. They filter. They protect. When you talk to someone and sense resistance, short answers, defensive tone, or distant body language, it's not because they don't want to talk. It's because at some level, they don't feel safe. Maybe they've been judged before. Maybe they've been dismissed, betrayed, or misunderstood. Their brain is wired to detect potential threats, and until you show that you're not one of them, they won't open the door. The human brain prioritizes survival over connection. Your job, if you want real dialogue, is to turn off that internal alarm. How do you do that? By showing presence. People can feel when you're with them and when your mind is elsewhere. When you're distracted, checking your phone, or waiting for your turn to speak, you signal to the other person that they're not important enough to hold your full attention. That breaks safety. But when you lock in, your body facing them, your eyes steady but soft, your energy grounded, they can feel it. That moment of genuine focus tells them you're safe here. I see you. I'm not here to judge or fix you. I'm just here to listen. That kind of energy disarms even the most guarded individuals. Being seen goes deeper than simply being looked at. People are desperate to be seen for who they are, not who they pretend to be. Most of us wear masks every day, the professional mask, the confident mask, the agreeable mask. We wear them because we've learned that showing our real selves can be risky. But when someone looks at you and sees past the performance, when they notice the small shifts in your tone, the quiet hesitation in your eyes, or the emotion you try to hide behind a laugh, that's when they start to feel seen. And when people feel seen, they soften. The need to perform fades away and they start to share pieces of their truth. Understanding, though, is the glue that holds it all together. You can make someone feel safe and even seen, but if they sense that you don't understand, or worse, that you don't want to understand, they'll shut down again. True understanding requires empathy, patience, and emotional intelligence. It's about stepping into their world without bringing your own agenda. It's asking questions not to challenge, but to clarify. It's listening to their words and their silence. It's noticing the pauses between what they say and what they mean. When you can reflect back to someone what they're really feeling in your own words, you show them that you not only hear them, you get them. To create that sense of safety, you also have to remove the subtle threats that most people bring into conversations without realizing it. Interrupting someone mid-sentence signals dominance, not understanding. Correcting them too quickly tells them they're wrong. Offering advice too soon suggests you're more focused on solving their problem than hearing their pain. Every one of those moments chips away at safety. Instead, let the conversation breathe. Give them time to find their words. Use silence intentionally. Sometimes just being quiet after someone speaks gives them space to go deeper. They'll often say, actually, and what comes after that is usually the truth they were holding back. People also need to know that what they share won't be used against them. Confidentiality builds trust faster than anything else. If someone tells you something vulnerable and later hears it repeated, or even sees that you've treated them differently because of it, you've lost them. They'll never risk that kind of honesty again. That's why integrity matters in communication. If you want people to talk to you, they need to know you'll protect what they give you. Trust is built in the small, quiet moments where you prove again and again that you're a safe place to land. Another overlooked part of helping people open up is emotional regulation. Your energy sets the tone. If you're anxious, angry, or reactive, they'll mirror it. Humans are emotional sponges. We absorb what we feel around us. If you want others to calm down, you must calm yourself first. The more centered you are, the more grounded they become. Your tone of voice, your breathing, your posture, all of these things signal either safety or danger to the subconscious mind. Speak with warmth. Slow your pace. Lower your tone slightly. These subtle cues tell the other person's nervous system, you're okay here. When they feel that, they start to relax. And when they relax, they start to talk. Validation is another key part of being seen and understood. Validation doesn't mean agreeing with everything someone says. It means acknowledging their perspective as real to them. When you say things like, I can see why you'd feel that way, or that must have been hard, you're telling them their experience matters. Validation removes shame, and shame is one of the biggest barriers to honest conversation. When people don't feel ashamed of their feelings, they become more open to exploring them and sharing them with you. When someone truly feels safe, seen, and understood, you can almost see the transformation in their body. Their shoulders drop, their voice steadies, they breathe more deeply. What's happening is physiological, Their brain is shifting from defense mode to trust mode. The amygdala quiets down, and the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning and connection, takes over. That's when real dialogue begins. That's when people stop guarding and start revealing. It's the difference between talking and communicating. The best communicators in the world understand that getting people to open up isn't about clever questions or polished words. It's about energy, presence, and empathy. It's about showing up with no agenda other than to understand another human being. When you do that consistently, people start to gravitate toward you. They talk more, they trust faster, they share deeper. Because in a world full of noise, the person who makes others feel safe, seen, and understood becomes magnetic. People remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you said. Silence and curiosity are your greatest psychological tools. They are the quiet power moves that most people underestimate because they seem passive, but they hold the deepest influence in communication. When you master silence, you learn to control the rhythm of the conversation. When you master curiosity, you learn to control the depth of it. Together, they can make anyone open up, reveal what they truly think, and feel safe doing it. Most people think getting others to talk means asking more questions or filling every pause with words. But the truth is, silence and curiosity create a space that invites honesty. It's the space between your words that gives their words room to grow. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it feels like a loss of control. We're wired to fill empty space, to prove we belong, to avoid the awkwardness that comes with stillness. But when you can hold silence, when you can be completely at ease in it, you show confidence. You show patience. You show that you don't need to dominate the conversation to lead it. The moment you stop rushing to speak, people start rushing to fill the space you leave behind. And often what they say in that space is what they were holding back. They begin to explain more, to justify, to open up. You didn't have to push. You simply had to wait. Silence communicates strength, but also safety. When you don't interrupt or jump in with your own stories, people feel heard. They feel like you're giving them permission to keep going. The brain interprets silence during conversation as attention. It means you're processing, not judging. You're not reacting impulsively. You're allowing them to lead. That creates psychological comfort. You become someone who listens differently. Most people listen to respond, but those who use silence listen to understand. They let words breathe. They understand that truth takes time to surface, and silence is the soil it grows in. Then comes curiosity, the second half of the equation. Curiosity is not about asking random questions. It's about asking the why right questions with the right energy. Curiosity says, I care enough to understand you deeper. It's not interrogation, it's exploration. When you approach someone with genuine curiosity, you're telling them they're interesting, that their perspective matters. You shift from talking at them to discovering them. And when people feel discovered, they reveal more than they plan to. They lean into the moment because curiosity feels like connection. The difference between curiosity and questioning lies in intent. Most questions are designed to get information. Curious questions are designed to get emotion. You don't just ask, what happened? You ask, how did that feel for you? You don't say, why did you do that? You say, what was going through your mind when you made that choice? The way you ask changes the way people respond. They sense your energy before they hear your words. If your curiosity is genuine, they'll go deeper. If it's performative, they'll shut down. Curiosity also creates psychological alignment. When you get someone talking about themselves, they feel seen and valued. Their brain releases dopamine because sharing their story feels rewarding. The more curious you are, the more positive chemicals their body releases. That's why people open up to those who seem interested in them. It literally feels good. The key, though, is that curiosity must be real. Fake curiosity is transparent. People can tell when your questions are mechanical or self-serving. True curiosity feels different. It's calm, slow, intentional. It's about being fully present in that moment, not trying to get to the next one. Silence and curiosity also balance each other. Too much silence without curiosity can feel distant. Too much curiosity without silence can feel invasive. But when you blend the two, you create flow. You ask a question and then you give it space. You don't rush to fill their pause. You wait. You let them find their words. That wait communicates respect. It tells them their answer matters. Sometimes they'll hesitate because they're testing your patience. If you stay still, they realize you're not just pretending to listen. You're actually there for it. That's when they go beyond surface answers and give you the real ones. Psychologically, silence also reveals patterns. When people talk, they reveal what they're comfortable with. But when you're quiet, you notice what they avoid. You hear the emotions behind their words, the shifts in tone, the sudden hesitation, the change in breathing. Those small cues tell you far more than the words themselves. The absence of speech often speaks the loudest. Curiosity then steps in to explore what silence uncovers. You can say, "You paused there. What were you thinking?" Or, "It seems like that part was hard to talk about." These are gentle nudges that tell them it's safe to go deeper. You're not forcing, you're inviting. Using silence effectively also requires control over your own discomfort. People who can't handle silence are usually afraid of being judged or appearing unprepared. But when you realize silence is your ally, not your enemy, your communication becomes powerful. The more you can tolerate it, the more authority and trust you build. People associate calmness with confidence. They assume the person who doesn't rush to fill gaps knows something they don't. Silence in that way becomes influence. It draws others in instead of pushing them away. Curiosity, on the other hand, requires humility. You can't be curious if you think you already know everything. Curiosity comes from a mindset that values discovery over control. When you approach people with the intent to truly understand, you remove ego from the equation. You stop trying to prove yourself and start trying to see them. That shift changes everything. They stop feeling defensive because you're not challenging them, you're exploring with them. It becomes a shared journey, not a one-sided interrogation. Both silence and curiosity are deeply rooted in respect. Silence says, "I respect your words enough to wait." Curiosity says, "I respect your experience enough to learn." When those two things come together, you build trust faster than any script, tactic, or charm ever could. You become someone people open up to without realizing why. You create a kind of gravity in conversations where others feel drawn to share more. They don't feel interrogated, they feel understood. These two tools also transform conflicts. When emotions rise, silence de-escalates tension. Instead of reacting, you pause. That pause signals control. It slows the pace of anger and allows clarity to return. Then curiosity helps you find the truth beneath the emotion. You can ask, "What's really upsetting you right now?" Or, "Help me understand what you're feeling." That combination shifts the focus from confrontation to understanding. You disarm defensiveness without ever raising your voice. Mastering silence and curiosity requires practice, but once you do, they become second nature. You stop fearing pauses and start valuing them. You stop chasing answers and start inviting them. You learn that communication isn't about who speaks the most, it's about who listens best. You realize that every pause has power, every question has weight, and every moment of quiet curiosity brings you closer to real connection. True influence comes from connection, not control. Most people misunderstand influence. They think it's about power, persuasion, or having the louder voice. They think influence means convincing people to do what you want, to agree with you, or to see things your way. But the truth is, real influence has nothing to do with force. It's about connection. It's about understanding people so deeply that they willingly follow your lead because they trust you, not because they fear you. When people feel seen, respected, and valued, they open their minds, they listen differently, they respond differently. And that's where influence begins. Control may win obedience for a moment, but connection builds loyalty that lasts. Control is rooted in insecurity. It comes from the need to prove something, to maintain dominance, to protect the ego. You can see it in people who talk over others, who need to have the last word, who push their opinions instead of sharing them. That kind of behavior might create compliance, but it never creates trust. People might nod along to avoid conflict, but the moment they leave, they disconnect. They stop listening, they stop believing, and they stop caring. Connection, on the other hand, is rooted in confidence. When you're truly secure in yourself, you don't need to control anyone. You understand that influence isn't about pressure, it's about presence. Connection begins with emotional intelligence. You can't connect with people if you don't understand what drives them. Every person you meet carries their own story, their own fears, their own motives. Some seek validation. Some crave security. Some just want to feel that their voice matters. When you take the time to understand what moves them, you can communicate in a way that speaks directly to their inner world. You stop talking at them and start talking as to them. You speak to what they value, and when you do that, you don't need to push. They move naturally toward you because you've made them feel understood. True influence also requires authenticity. People can sense when someone is pretending. They might not always be able to explain it, but their intuition will alert them when your words don't match your energy. Authentic people are magnetic because they're consistent. Their tone, their actions, their expressions all align. They don't wear masks to please everyone in the room. They show up as who they are, and that honesty creates comfort. When people sense authenticity, their guard drops. They feel like they can trust what you say, even if they don't agree with you. That's the foundation of influence. Credibility, built through consistency and truth. Another key element of connection is vulnerability, not weakness, but openness. When you allow people to see your humanity, your mistakes, your lessons, your emotions, you bridge the gap between authority and relatability. People don't connect to perfection, they connect to authenticity. Vulnerability says, I've been there too. It makes your message feel real. It removes the power distance and builds mutual respect. You don't have to overshare or seek sympathy. You just have to show that you're human. That small shift can change how people listen to you, how they remember your words, and how much they trust your leadership. Influence through connection also demands empathy. Empathy isn't about agreeing with everyone. It's about understanding where they're coming from. When you can step into someone else's perspective without judgment, you build an invisible bridge between your world and theirs. That bridge allows you to speak in a way that resonates with their emotions, not just their logic. Facts may inform, but empathy transforms. When people feel that you genuinely care about their experience, they stop resisting you. They begin to align with you because they feel you're on the same side. That alignment is what real influence looks like. Partnership, not domination. Listening is the core skill that ties it all together. You cannot influence what you do not understand, and you cannot understand what you do not listen to. Most people listen just enough to respond, not enough to connect. They're waiting for a pause so they can jump in with their opinion. But real listening means being completely absorbed in what the other person is saying. It means hearing not just their words, but their tone, their hesitation, their energy. It means noticing what they don't say. When people feel truly heard, they open up more. And when they open up, you gain insight into what truly matters to them. That insight gives you influence far beyond words. Respect is another form of connection that builds influence. When people feel respected, they reciprocate it. Even in disagreement, respect maintains the bridge. You don't have to overpower someone to lead them. You can disagree with grace. You can challenge without belittling. You can assert without aggression. That kind of communication earns long-term trust. People may not remember every point you made, but they will remember how you treated them. And respect, when combined with consistency, becomes credibility. Credibility is influence that can't be taken away. Connection also relies on congruence. Your words and actions must match. If you say one thing and do another, you break trust instantly. People may forgive mistakes, but they rarely forgive hypocrisy. Consistency builds belief. Every time your actions align with your words, you reinforce trust. Every time they don't, you weaken it. True influence doesn't come from what you say once, it comes from what you demonstrate repeatedly. People follow those whose behavior proves their message. Influence through connection also means letting go of control. The paradox is that the less you try to control others, the more influence you gain. When people feel they have freedom, they naturally engage. When they feel forced, they resist. The best communicators know how to guide without dictating, to suggest without demanding, to inspire without commanding. They make others feel empowered, not manipulated. That's what creates sustainable influence. It's the difference between compliance that fades and commitment that endures. Connection is also about presence. Influence doesn't require grand gestures or powerful speeches. It requires full attention. When you're truly present with someone, they feel it. You're not thinking about what to say next or checking your phone. You're right there. Presence communicates value. It says, you matter enough for me to be here fully. That moment of focus builds trust faster than any words can. People don't remember everything you tell them, but they always remember how it felt to be in your presence. Emotional stability plays a major role too. People look for calm energy in moments of chaos. If you can stay composed when others lose control, you instantly become the anchor in the room. Influence flows toward calm. Those who can regulate their emotions project strength without intimidation. They show confidence without arrogance. That kind of quiet control earns respect naturally. You don't need to demand attention. People give it to you willingly. Connection-based influence doesn't happen overnight. It's built moment by moment through patience, empathy, and consistency. It's earned, not taken. You can't fake it or rush it. You cultivate it by showing up with integrity, listening more than you speak, and understanding that people follow those they trust, not those they fear. Influence that lasts doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from connecting with them so deeply that they choose to walk with you willingly.